This modelling shows the flood peak will arrive later than first thought. It's anticipated 175 gigalitres a day will hit Renmark on the 14th of December, Waikerie on the 23rd and Mannum around the 27th. Premier Peter Malinauskas says it gives those communities valuable time.
Having said that, it is important people along the river acknowledge the fact that while the peak might be further away, that we will see an increasing volume of water lead up towards that peak. The amount of water that is now crossing the border today is the highest it's been since 1974.
The Adelaide 500 is being seen as the beginning of a bumper few months on the SA calendar. The gates opened this morning with the event on track to welcome 250,000 people over the next 4 days. The supercars will make their first appearance at 3:55 this afternoon with a 30-minute practice session. Ian Horn from the Hotels Association says it's going to be a hive of activity as we head into 2023.
We've got the Test cricket. We then flow into the Tour Down Under. We go into February and March with the Fringe and the Festival of Arts, Woam Adelaide in the beginning of March as well, followed up by the first ever, effectively, AFL Football Carnival being held here for 4 days in early April.
A SA mother will be able to see her toddler again after criminal neglect charges against her were dropped. Emma Short's 2-year-old son suffered serious burns and bruising and spent 10 days in ICU. Her partner, Rodney Clough, was accused of criminal neglect and now a charge of aggravated causing harm has been laid against him. He'll face court again in the new year. The first annual climate statement has been delivered in federal parliament as part of enhanced environment laws. The statement outlines if and how Australia is meeting its emission reduction targets. Labor claims it's on track to slash emissions by 40% by the end of this decade. Climate Change Minister Chris Bowen says unless we act, life will become harder for many people.
Changing rainfall and worsening heat will make our world-class agricultural sector less productive and harder to work. In fact, Mr Deputy Speaker, Australia is the developed country most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, including bushfires and floods, so the stakes are extremely high.
As summer kicks in, we're being reminded of the importance of water safety. 145 people have lost their lives to drownings across the nation over the last year. Surf Life Saving SA CEO Damien Marragon is urging caution.
We're really asking and pleading with the public on this National Water Safety Day to just remember those basic water safety things and to look out for each other.
Now turning to 5AA sport, and Australia is cruising on day 2 of the first test against the West Indies in Perth. After electing to bat first, the Aussies are currently 3 for 402. Marnus Labuschagne reaching a double century a short time ago. Steve Smith also reaching triple figures.
And he does get it through to long on for his 29th Test 100. It is an immortal number. The number achieved by Sir Donald Bradman. Steve Smith is in rarefied air as an international cricketer and as an Australian, just ponting Steve Waugh and Hayden ahead of him.
That audio thanks to Seven. Australia will have just 3 days to prepare for its knockout match against Argentina at the World Cup. Goal scorer Matthew Leckie says it was an incredible feeling when the ball went into the back of the net in the 1-0 win.
Originally I wanted to, cut in on my right, and then the defender sort of defended it well, so I went back on my left and swung the boot, rolled in, and I was just ecstatic.
And at the Australian Golf Open, Cameron Smith is even par through 10 holes, 7 shots off the lead. In the women's draw, Grace Kim leads at 7 under. Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Clearview, got urgent gas works, Hampstead Road near Gordon Avenue. Cheltenham, works on a large pothole continued. Cheltenham Parade near Torrens Road. Adelaide 500 has kicked off. Got a few road closures around the east end of the city, including Kettleville Terrace and Fullerton Road near the Britannia roundabout. Avoid those areas to avoid delays. Cameras for the drive home, including George Street, Norwood, and also Grand Scully Road at Clarendon. From cafes to car washes and businesses in between, stop paying FPOS fees. No terminal rental, no merchant fees. Visit smartpay.com.au. Minimum turnover and T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast. Mostly sunny this afternoon, 26. Sunny tomorrow and 29. Saturday sunny and 34. And Sunday sunny and 35. Right now it's 24 degrees. Now let's hear what's happening on 9 News Tonight.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. While others do their news from Melbourne, 9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide. Weeknights at 5.
First in Adelaide's 9 News at 5.
Nightly at 6.
And the unprecedented police operation.
We go to some breaking news now, and crews are right now at the scene.
And that's why the switch is on to 9 News.
$13.95, Adelaide's FIVEAA. This is Jade Robran.
3:08. Welcome back to Afternoons. Thanks to everybody sending in their photos from the FIVEAA Adelaide 500. Looks like you're having an awesome time. Craig here. Hi, Jade. I had the pleasure and horror of picking up this year's V8 supercar and delivering it to the track. Oh, that is awesome. So it's a V8 Coke car, number 22 on the side. So, oh, Craig, call in and tell us what your job was. You got to drive that thing around the streets and to the track. That is awesome. It's a beast of a car. Another message here. Hi, Jade. Sad it's the end of an era. Happy that I've owned a piece of GM's for 47 years, and that goes by one name, Monaro. Mike from Parafield Gardens. Mike, that is a sweet-looking Monaro that is probably worth $250,000 now. The prices of Monaros have gone through the roof. And a very funny message here, Baz. You are the comedian. That coin is so old, it's called the KG and Cornsey penny. Boom, boom, ching. Very funny. All right, let's go to our next story. The Royals, they've been rocked by a racism scandal involving longtime royal aide Lady Susan Hussey. She's Prince William's godmother. She's been forced to step down from her royal duties following the incident. And the comments have made worldwide headlines and forced Prince William, he's had to speak out over it. For all the latest, we're joined by royal expert Natalie Oliveri from 9 Honey. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jade.
Well, I've read the transcript because the guest took to social media to explain what had happened in her own words. But can you tell our audience what went down?
So this was at a violence against women reception at Buckingham Palace on Tuesday. Now, this was hosted by Camilla, the Queen Consort, and it was really the most significant event she's done since becoming Queen Consort. So there were a lot of eyes on this particular reception. Our very own Crown Princess Mary was there as well. There are a few other queens and royals from around the world. And one of the people involved is this charity head. Now, she's British-born, but she is a woman of colour, and she was there as a guest of honour, and it's this particular lady that we're talking about today and her encounter with Lady Susan Hussey, who was the late Queen Elizabeth lady-in-waiting and, as you mentioned, Prince William's godmother. Now, she claims that Lady Susan asked her persistent questions basically over and over about where are you from? And this lady responded with, well, I'm born in Britain, I've lived here all my life, I grew up in Hackney, and apparently Lady Susan just would not take that for an answer, and she wanted to know where in Africa was this lady from. So, I mean, the woman felt quite, insulted by those questions, and she even claims that Lady Susan moved her hair away from her name badge so she could actually see her name. But look, Buckingham Palace has responded quite quickly to this, and Lady Susan has stood down from her honorary role. Now, she was actually one of 3 ladies in waiting kept on at the royal household, because we spoke the other day about Camilla employing 6 new companions. So Lady Susan is not one of these. She's one of the old crew who was able to keep her job, but now she has stepped down. She's 83 years old, so really not the best end to her career, and certainly not the story Buckingham Palace is wanting us to be speaking about after Camilla hosted what was otherwise quite a successful palace event. And it's especially bad as Prince William and Catherine begin their royal visit to Boston. I mean, we all know what has happened in the US with their own race relations, so it's certainly not the best start for them there.
No, it certainly overshadowed the event. We have heard from Prince William, which is probably quite rare too.
Yeah, so he basically has called these comments unacceptable, and he said it was the right decision for this person to step aside, and he is referring to his own godmother there. Now, Prince William's spokesperson issued that statement a couple of hours before he and Catherine touched down in Boston, and we were expecting him to be questioned about this by reporters on the ground, but so far we haven't heard anything like that. But certainly William did want to make a statement before, I guess, people could start questioning why he hasn't responded to it. But look, one of the things that happened on their very first engagement in Boston, they were attending an event at Boston's City Hall where they were, I guess, lectured in a way by the city's reverend, and she basically said that they needed to put an end to colonialism and racism. So it wasn't what William and Catherine wanted to hear on the very first day of their royal tour. Look, it wasn't in reference directly to Prince William, but you may remember back in March they carried out a very controversial tour of the Caribbean where there were calls for the British royal family to, I guess, be held accountable for their role in the slave trade many, many years ago.
Yeah, that was a bit of a disaster, that trip, wasn't it?
It was, unfortunately. There was lots of good moments from that tour, and I think it was unfortunate that we are again talking about the bad parts, which were a very small portion of that tour, I have to point out.
Well, they were also booed at a basketball game today, so there was this talk, who's going to be more popular, Wills and Kate, or will it be Harry and Meghan? And they were booed.
Look, you know, you talk about the booing, but there were lots of cheers. And at that very first event that they attended, they were standing out, or they were covered by a canopy. But, you know, fans in Boston had turned out waiting hours to see William and Kate in the rain. It's very cold there at the moment, and there were lots of signs showing their support for William and Catherine. So while there may be pockets of people who don't like the royal family, there's certainly a lot of support for them there. And I would say a lot more support for William and Kate than Harry and Meghan, especially after the interviews that Harry and Meghan have done and all the criticisms they've directed at the royal family. But look, we're expected to hear Harry and Meghan again in a couple of, I guess, a week's time. December 8 is when their Netflix documentary happens. But look, before then, it's going to be all about William and Kate. They are hosting the Earthshot Prize Awards, which is William's huge environmental campaign, and that's of huge importance to him, and that really is the reason he's in Boston at the moment, to bring attention to all these ways to try and save the planet at the moment. That's very important to him, I think.
I'm going to play a clip. A senior British police officer, he's opened up about the very real death threats that Meghan Markle received. I'll play it now.
You were in charge of royal protection. How would you characterise the threats that Meghan and Harry received?
Well, disgusting and very real. I've talked publicly for many years about the threat of extreme right-wing terrorism in this country. I've often been misquoted as taking my eye off the ball, as though I think that was the biggest threat. I've never called it the biggest threat, but it was the fastest growing. You know, and my wonderful friend and counterpart at MI5 will tell you exactly the same thing, that when I started in CT in 2015... Counterterrorism, it was about 6% of our total workload. Certainly when I left 15, 16 months ago, it was over 20% of our workload.
But there were many serious, credible threats against Meghan, were there, emanating from the far right in this country?
Absolutely. If you'd seen the stuff that was written and you were receiving it, the kind of rhetoric that's online, if you don't know what I know, you would feel under threat all of the time.
So you were convinced that there was a genuine threat to Meghan's life on on more than one occasion, on several occasions?
We had teams investigating it. People have been prosecuted for those threats.
That is pretty major, you know, and surprisingly this hasn't really made many headlines at all. Well, probably not surprisingly because it's about Meghan Markle, but I mean, to live your life like that, we're slowly now starting to find out the true reasons why they did leave the UK. They were able to subtly mention a few things, but couldn't come out and say that.
Yeah, and I guess this man's comments, his name is Neil Basu, and he's the former head of the Metropolitan Police's counter-terrorism unit. Now, I guess he's sort of speaking publicly about this and supporting Prince Harry's argument for those extra security. For many months now, the Duke of Sussex has been arguing he needs additional police protection when he's in the UK. He's said through lawyers that his family and he feel very unsafe. And look, he was actually offering to pay for these additional police protection officers, but the UK government denied it. So he then took the government to court. Look, there's lots of different complexities there, but the issue still does remain before the courts. But look, when Harry and Meghan left the UK to pursue their new life in California, they did lose their publicly funded police security, and that is why Prince Harry is making it such an issue now, because clearly he knows about these threats and he still feels really unsafe. So you sort of have to do feel for them here, and you certainly wouldn't want to live your life with these threats hanging over you. You could only imagine how hard it would have been for Meghan coming from the US to the UK and starting this incredibly difficult life. Prince Harry, on the other hand, he's grown up with it.
Yeah, well, and we know how he lost his mother, don't we? So he's extra sensitive about it. Now, are you going to be coming to Adelaide on Royal Watch for Zara and Mike Tyndall?
Look, Jade, I would love to be there. Unfortunately, I'm not, but I would love to see Zara and Mike Tyndall. They are very, very cool royals, and I'm very jealous of anyone who does get to have an encounter with them. But keep your eyes peeled, because they're going to be there for a few days, which is super exciting. And then in a couple of weeks, we're having Crown Princess Mary and her family in Australia. So I think I might be doing a bit of royal watching there. It's an unofficial visit though, Jade. It's just a private family visit for Christmas. But, you know, we've seen these in the past and people have caught glimpses of the royals. So keep your eyes peeled. That's my advice. And take a photo and share it to 9 Honey.
Very good. I remember when she came last time for a Christmas with her family, and I was sent from Channel 9 to go on Mary Watch, and oh my golly, we're in the car, zooming here, zooming there. Oh, quick, she's been to the butcher. Oh, quick, she's gone and bought some Ugg boots. Oh, quick, she's here. Oh, gosh, it was a nightmare. So good luck with that, Dal.
Look, I just remember seeing her at the beach and she looked incredible. Good on her.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Natalie.
Thanks, Jade.
Natalie Oliveri there, royal reporter for 9 Honey. We're going to take a short break. Back soon.
It's value the Australian way this Christmas at Coles. With FIVEAA Rocher Diamond Gift Box box chocolates, half price at just $13. Save $13. Perfect for entertaining or last-minute gifts. Offer ends Tuesday only at Coles while stocks last.
Are you over 65 and receiving care through a government home care package but feel like you don't get enough hours or consistent service? Switch to Right at Home. We're an approved provider of home care packages, but the only fees we charge are directly related to your care when you receive it. Right at Home manage your care without administration, case management or exit fees, so you have more money to use on your support and fewer things to worry about. We do it all for you. For a free assessment, call Right at Home on 8318 7926.
Did you know that back in the 60s, Supercraft Bedding were asked to make the mattress for Government House in time for a very special guest, the Queen? Beds fit for royalty, hey? Supercraft Bedding has been creating quality mattresses here in Adelaide since 1873. Their team has a long and strong belief in old-fashioned service and tailor-made bedding solutions. They manufacture their mattresses and bedding on site, which enables them to sell direct from the showroom. It also means they can give you in-depth information about the mattress or bed you're interested in. They've been making them for generations now. Supercraft Bedding also believes in sustainable quality products that last, so they offer reasonable recycling of your old mattresses and also responsible recycling when they deliver your new one. Supercraft, building better beds.
Patience really does pay off, especially if you've been holding out for a shiny new Volkswagen Tiguan or Touareg. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen is now receiving truckloads of new Volkswagens, including the confident and clever Tiguan and the luxurious Touareg with a whopping 3.5-ton towing capacity. Secure a great price and take delivery before Christmas. Remember Mawson Lakes Volkswagen for servicing too, with next day servicing and free loan cars. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
We could all do with a getaway this summer, and here's how you can get your hands on a free $75 travel voucher to help you along. SA Weekend Escapes is giving away free vouchers for short stays across the state. From Berry to Victor Harbour to Kangaroo Island, there are so many places to discover. Elevate your summer with a $75 travel voucher from saweekendescapes.com.au. That's saweekendescapes.com.au. Get your travel voucher now. T's and C's apply.
A shock absorber, CV joint, or maybe a bearing kit. It may seem like just a four-wheel drive part, but open it up and you'll find so much more. Each terrain tamer four-wheel drive part is the culmination of 50 years of experience. Every break, every lesson, every setback far from home strengthens everything we do. So when you break down miles from home and you drag out our number, you'll know you're in safe hands. That's the terrain tamer connection, and it comes free with every part.
$13.95, Adelaide's FIVEAA. This is Jade Robran.
Welcome back to Afternoons, and a big thanks to Foodland Supermarkets. We're live streaming on YouTube and also Facebook. Well, sadly, today, the world lost a fantastic musician. Fleetwood Mac's Christine McVie has died at the age of 79. On Facebook to fans that read she passed away peacefully at hospital this morning, Wednesday, November 30th, 2022, following a short illness. Joining us now is executive producer and also founder of noise11.com, Paul Cashmere. Thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon.
Hi there, Jade. Yes, what a sad day for the music world.
Well, certainly lost an icon, even though she was a private one. Amazing woman.
Look, when we look back at the legacy, the songs that she wrote will just go on forever. There's the work she did even before Fleetwood Mac in a band called Chicken Shack. She had a top 10 hit in England in 1969 with that band, and that's where she met her husband-to-be, John McVie. They married, she joined Fleetwood Mac, and she was the only female in Fleetwood Mac for a number of years before then Stephanie Nicks came along with her boyfriend at the time, Lindsay Buckingham, and of course Fleetwood Mac became the supergroup that we know today after that point.
Do we know what illness she had?
It hasn't been announced yet. It just said that it was a short illness. Stevie Nicks put up something on Instagram this morning to say that she only found out that Christine was sick last Saturday. So it does sound like it was something that's taken her very, very quickly.
And, I mean, yeah, tragic, and a lot of people have got outpouring of emotions today. What tributes have we heard?
Neil Finn put a very touching one up there, and Neil was most recently one of the guitarists in Fleetwood Mac. When Lindsay Buckingham left the band, Lindsay was replaced by two people, and one of them was Neil Finn. The other was Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So Neil put up a very touching statement. The Stevie Nicks statement, I think, touched a lot of people because she referred to Christine as a best friend. The fact that she really didn't know that she was sick until the last moment, and then she put up a Haim song as a tribute to her. That was very, very lovely. Mick Fleetwood also has put up some beautiful words about Stevie Nicks, because, you know, these people, they were not only bandmates, but in some cases they were married to each other, like John and Christine were, and Lindsay and Stevie were boyfriend and girlfriend for a long, long time. There were a lot of relationships in between the band, and really those relationships were what fueled the Rumours album, which is probably their best-known and classic album.
So true. She was also such a steady presence in the band, wasn't she?
Stevie, well, she was with the
Christine.
Christine, of course. She was sort of considered to be the mother of the band, and although she and John would have had their individual problems, she was the one that was there to console the others when they were going through a bit of grief at various times. But it eventually caught up with her. She did leave the band in around 1984. She went out and started a solo career at that time, but that lasted all of about 5 years, and she came back to the band. It was obviously her home to be.
What do you think she'll be best remembered for?
Well, the songwriting. She had such a particular style with her songwriting. And, like when Stevie and Lindsay joined the band, and you had Christine, who was already in there, you had these three amazing songwriters with these three amazing voices, three lead singers in this band, and it was a combination of them working by themselves and doing things together. But just, when you look at the body of work that Christine had given the band, songs like Say I Love You and Don't Stop, and You Make Love and Fun, Over and Over, Never Forget, Hold Me, and probably her signature song, Songbird, which was always the last song at every Fleetwood Mac show. What an incredible legacy just in the songs that she contributed to the band, and then you multiply that by 3 when you add in the Stevie songs and the Lindsay songs as well.
Unbelievable, aren't they? And they're songs that just stand the test of time as well.
Oh, absolutely. And then, a song like Don't Stop was used in political campaigns in the US. I mean, these songs weren't just pop songs or rock songs or top 40 songs. They became anthems, and they became songs that we all knew every word to right around the world. It was just incredible. And I'm very glad I got to see Stevie and Christine and Mick and John and Lindsay perform together for I think it was the first time, the last time they toured Australia in 2015.
Thank you so much, Paul. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Jade.
Paul Cashmere there, executive producer and founder of Noise11.com.
Can you hear me calling out your name? You know that I'm falling and I don't know what to say. Come along, baby, we better make a start. You better make it soon before you break my heart.
This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Good afternoon, I'm Michaela Kamarik. A South Australian mother accused of criminal neglect of her 2-year-old son has had the charge against her dropped. City hotels, eateries and retailers are bracing for a big weekend as the Adelaide 500 brings big crowds to their front door. The federal opposition has used the last question time of the year to launch another attack on Labor over electricity prices, and Marnus Labuschagne has scored a double century as Australia pile on the runs in the first test against the West Indies. Mostly sunny this afternoon, 26. Currently it's 25 degrees. More news at 4 o'clock and As It Happens on 5AA.
Christmas is covered with Vineyard Road. For premium local wines made by leading viticulturalists, visit a Vineyard Road cellar door in Kenttown, Barossa Valley or Langhorne Creek. Keep listening for more great gift ideas. Merry Christmas from 5AA.
Landlords, every day your rental property is vacant, it's costing you money.
If you're a landlord looking for a quality tenant, Toop & Toop's CEO of Property Management, Susanna Toop, can point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. We have just launched a new innovation for our clients. Toop & Toop landlords can now secure a tenant up to 2 months in advance and before their property becomes vacant. This new innovation allows landlords to tap into our extensive pre-screened tenant network. We know who is actively looking for rental properties across Adelaide, and we are giving our clients access to this valuable information.
So you can start looking for a quality tenant without incurring advertising costs?
That's right, it's the perfect way to find your next tenant, ahead of time. On average, we meet over 600 tenants at our open homes each month, and it's not only landlords that benefit, it's great for tenants too. Toop & Toop is giving tenants the opportunity to secure a home up to 2 months sooner and before they become publicly available.
To register, simply head to toop.com.au/rent.
You gotta love end of year at Southern Mitsubishi and Wayville Mitsubishi. Nothing stops them from giving you the best car buying and servicing experience in Adelaide. Southern Mitsubishi has undergone a major expansion with more used cars in stock than ever, plus same day or next day servicing. And of course, the new Wayville Mitsubishi showroom is just spectacular. Looking for a new Mitsi or an outstanding used vehicle? Head to Wayville and Southern Mitsubishi, driven by Australian Motors.
Mum says I can be anything I want to be.
8-year-old Sophie is so determined to learn. But like 1 in 6 Australian children, she lives in poverty. This blocks Sophie's progress as she doesn't have everything she needs for school. Like all children, Sophie deserves a chance to be whatever she wants to be. You can help Sophie get the extra learning support she needs to reach her potential. Please, change the life of a child this Christmas. Search the Smith family.
You don't have to be a curator to find artworks you can't get anywhere else in the world. Just visit Art by FIVEAA. They're proud to host unique Indigenous artworks in their gallery, and even prouder sending these artworks home to be admired for years to come. All pieces at Art by FIVEAA are ethically sourced, directly supporting Indigenous artists and communities. Visit the incredible range at 1070 South Road, Edwardstown. Art by FIVEAA, a family company specialising in Indigenous art.
If you're building a home, the Selector Homes Display Village is a great place to start. Your ideas and imagination will flow. There's nothing else quite like it in Adelaide. Different homes for different lifestyles, all in the one location. Walk through the sanctuary. It's simply stunning, with an incredible Jarrah facade, polished concrete floors and a sensational use of space. Explore the Selector Homes and Building Solutions Display Village, Port Wakefield Road, Burton. Visit selectorhomes.com.au.
$13.95, Adelaide's FIVEAA. This is Jade Robran.
Welcome back to Afternoons. Well, we have some Royals here in Adelaide. The first pictures of Zara and Mike Tindall have just surfaced on the Daily Mail website down at the airport there. They jumped on a commercial flight from Melbourne to Adelaide. They've been seen carrying their own baggage and being very cash, mingling with the locals. So if you've been at the airport and you've seen them, call in, let us know. They look very normal and just very chilled. Mike's in a white T-shirt with a baseball cap and some shorts, and she's in some ripped jeans. Like, just look like any other couple just cruising on in, but to know they're part of the royal family. I love that. So chilled, so normal. So yeah, if you spot them, any royal spotting, let us know. I've got stacks of tickets to give away. So I've got 2 double passes to give away to Lyle Crocodile, and also a family pass, 3 family passes to Adelaide Lightning. They're taking on Southside Flyers this Saturday, and also a couple of Wallace Cinema passes that you can go and see any movie you like at Mitcham, Mount Barker or Noarlunga. We're talking regifting. What have you regifted in your life, or have you been given a gift that's been regifted and you just had to open it nicely, but you knew deep down that no, this person, they've regifted it to me? And is it okay? Is it okay to re-gift? Call in with your stories. 8223 0000 is the number to call. Well, we have seen many sports stars end their career due to concussion. Brett Ebert walked away from the game. Crows Paul Seedsman is suffering terribly following his concussion. Sadly, we've seen players take their own lives. And in passing, whilst, in death, they've been discovered that they were suffering from CTE. Well, one of the most expansive and high-profile probes into concussion and the curse impacting elite sports people and also grassroots competitions, it is finally set to be held. We'll hear from Green Senator Lydia Thorpe in just a few moments' time. But for now, we're going to talk to Professor Alan Pearce, Neurosports Labs. Professor, thank you very much for your time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Well, this movement today into concussion and head trauma, no doubt it is very welcome amongst people in your industry.
I think, yes, there will be a number of us who are very keen to be having an inquiry at this level. I think there may be some others who may not be, and that's kind of where we're at with this issue, and it is quite a divisive issue, and one of the reasons why we're aiming to have a Senate inquiry.
Who wouldn't be?
Well, I think part of the concern is around a lot of the sports because they've been driving a lot of the narrative around what concussion is, who can assess, how long should you be out of, recovering, return to play issues, and it hasn't been discussed at a more wide community level and also at junior levels as well. So there are many unanswered questions that need to be addressed.
Can you talk to us about head trauma and concussion? Are you seeing it more and more?
Well, we certainly are seeing more and more because of the greater awareness, which is a really positive thing. But one of the things that is sort of being mixed up in all of this is, as you alluded to, concussion and repeated head trauma. And so what we're finding, and this is internationally as well, is that chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, is a brain disease that may not necessarily be only related to concussion. So, for example, soccer is a lot of heading of the ball. So we're seeing increased rates of dementia, which is suspected to be CTE, in soccer players and motor neuron disease as well. So they're not necessarily relating to only concussion. So we've got to tease that out, and I hope that this inquiry will allow that to happen as well.
In Europe, I believe they don't allow young children to head the ball. Should we be copying that?
Yes, that's correct. So in the UK or in England or Britain, they have now banned heading for children under 12. And I'm not sure if you're aware of the news that came out about 2 days ago, but Scotland now has banned heading for adults and professional players the day before and the day after a match as well. So they're actually really trying to crack down on that. And we have a few junior clubs individually around Australia thinking about doing that, and some have. And so this is something that we need to, I guess, have a policy that is probably more wide-ranging rather than having a case-by-case or club-by-club aspect.
Is a child's brain more susceptible to brain damage and head trauma and concussion than an adult is?
Absolutely, yes. We do know that developing brains are much more susceptible to damage, and you know, this is not just from physical trauma, but the reason why we don't want kids drinking or smoking as well, because it does have a greater effect on the developing brain, and having abnormal development can lead to a lot of mental health issues. And we have seen research from the Murdoch Children showing that after a concussion, a third of kids do develop depression. So that's a concern that we need to think about here. So, yeah, right up to probably, I mean, there's a political issue, but I guess mid-teens is something that we would like to see, is having some modified sports to reduce repetitive head trauma.
What is the link between head trauma and depression?
Well, we do know that from the research that after head trauma, it does affect the biology or the physiology of the brain, which then can cause, depression from a biological perspective. So the brain does start to shut down a bit, and that's why we do see mental health issues occurring, because the brain is not able to function as optimally as it should.
Can you tell us about CTE?
CTE is a brain disease. It's a neurodegenerative disease, very similar to dementia or Alzheimer's. But one of the key differences is that we do know that CTE is due to physical trauma of the brain. And so when you get physical trauma to the brain repetitively, it releases this protein called tau. And tau is actually quite good for the brain when it's inside the nerve cell. But when it is released from trauma, it then becomes toxic. And so what happens is that the brain tissue starts to die over a period of time.
And why can it only be detected post-death?
At the moment, it's because the damage or the degeneration is at a very micro level, and so we need to have very specific staining techniques that can actually pick up the tau where it is in the brain. At the moment, despite the fantastic technologies that we have with MRI and PET scanning, the resolution of them is just not good enough yet. And that sounds terrible to say that, these multi-million-dollar machines are not able to do that. And so there is research in trying to develop those technologies better to pick it up in hopefully living people.
If you'd like to ask Professor Alan Pearce a question, please call in 8223 0000. Professor, we've got Paul in Tea Tree Gully on the line. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Jade. Hi, Professor. With the AFL, there are accidental knocks and everything like that. With the soccer, there's the headering, I should say. How about, what's your view on boxing?
Well, we've known about boxing since 1928, so I'm not sure if you're aware of the term punch drunk, but punch drunk actually came from the research paper that was published in 1928. So we've known since 1928 that repeated subconcussive or just repeated trauma to the brain does have a pathological effect down the track. So we've known for quite some time, but it was only from about 2005 that we found out that actually that it was not just in boxing but in contact sports as well, and that issue in 2005, or the case study in 2005, ended up being a movie called Concussion in 2015 with Will Smith.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Paul. Is that all you'd like to ask?
Oh, no, and I was going to say, what happened to Muhammad Ali? Did anything happen from all his years of boxing? Did that have an effect on him?
Yes, so he developed Parkinson's disease, and we do know that there are links between repetitive head trauma and, so not just CTE, but we know that there's links to now Parkinson's disease as well. Motor neuron disease is another one as well. So a lot of these neurodegenerative diseases do have a risk if you are subjected to repeated trauma from punching or from incidental collisions in playing contact sports.
So it can be related. So.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you, Paul, very much for joining the program. I've got Mary who's messaged in. I've got 2 young boys who play AFL. Do the protective helmets actually work?
So helmets is one of the myths of concussion. And so we've known for several decades now that helmets are good to protect the skull from fracturing and lacerations. And, you know, I ride a bike and irrespective of the laws, I would still wear a helmet because I know it protects my head and my skull if I came off the bike. But helmets don't protect the brain from concussion because the brain tissue still moves inside. So it's the acceleration and deceleration when someone has an impact, whether it's a collision or coming off the bike or punching or whatever, that is still happening. And so helmets don't dissipate the force enough for that to occur. So we still see players getting concussed and players developing CTE who wear helmets.
Can I ask you about your thoughts on the AFL's concussion rules? They miss the following week if they're deemed to be concussed. Is that enough?
It's a good first step. So, I mean, it was, only introduced in 2021. 12 days is better than none. But we do know from the science that the brain takes longer than 12 days. So one of the concerns that we have is that players are still potentially coming back too soon. And while the AFL is suggesting that it's just the starting point of when a player should return to play, we do know that players are trying to get back as quickly as possible, and we need to change the culture around that.
What about youngsters? How do you know that they're concussed, and how long should they spend on the sidelines?
Yeah, that's a really good question because obviously, kids can also sort of show different type of signs and symptoms that may cause a bit of, uncertainty. And it's also very difficult to communicate sometimes how they're going. Certainly you need to see that there was an impact or a collision. That's the first thing to verify that they have been concussed. Now, this is where it gets a little bit confusing now because of the 12-day stand down that the AFL brought in. The guidelines were that prior to that, the kids and young adolescents should actually have twice as long recovery period. Now, once the AFL brought in the 12 days, kids are now, and young adolescents are now coming back after 12 days when really they should be at least a month. And so we're not sure if that is actually happening or not. And from anecdotally, I'm hearing that kids are coming back within the following week anyway, which is a real concern. So there's some of the questions that we need to address.
We've got Maria on the line. Hi, Maria.
Hello, Jade. Hello, Professor. I'm just listening to your conversation, and I don't know whether you've actually heard about this player. He was a famous NFL player in America, Aaron Hernandez. He was all right at first, but then his life just went haywire. Cutting a long story short, he was arrested near the end, and then unfortunately, very sadly, he committed suicide in jail. But his lawyer that was representing him, he actually said to them he wanted them to do an autopsy because he saw behaviour in him when he was being counselled of suddenly being very aggressive and very annoyed and then very calm. And when they did that, it came out that that was the worst case of the, you said the three letters, the CTE that they've ever seen. And they wear those big helmets there. So really, I don't think it really helps either way when you keep getting knocked on the head like that.
That's correct, yeah. Aaron Hernandez is a famous case and was diagnosed by my colleague Anne McKee, Professor Anne McKee at Boston University. And for his age, he had probably one of the worst level, I guess, in terms of how much CTE they found in his brain. And it was a very, unfortunate and sad case for Aaron because he had a number of issues as well, which sort of exacerbates. So if someone does have potentially have CTE, and then there's these life stresses, the brain isn't able to cope as well because they don't have what we call the neurological reserve to be able to tolerate that. So you could see his life spiralling. And what we do see is that after players retire, there may be a period of time, and it could be anywhere from 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years where things seem to be okay, and then all of a sudden something starts to change. And normally it's the partner or the wife or the family members can actually detect something prior before the actual person themselves. So it is an insidious disease that we really need to do a lot more research in.
It's terribly sad, isn't it? We've got Tom who's called in to ask a question. Hi, Tom, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. This is a bit close to the edge, but I understand the age, 12 years old, because of development of the human skull and the brain and all that at that age. But why are we splitting hairs here? I mean, it's heading the ball, particularly for people who practice it a lot. It's not good for a 12-year-old or a 25-year-old. Why aren't we just banning it, full stop?
Yeah.
That's a great question, and that's the question that we need to ask the sports. Does heading really need to be part of a game that is called football, for example? So, Scotland have now started with trying to reduce the UK, obviously, not just in soccer, but they're actually trying to reduce contact in training to 15 minutes per week. So I think there's this balancing act of trying to maintain, the purists of the game who still want to see it versus progressing and changing. So maybe in 50 or 80 years' time, we might see a completely different type of sport, the same way as that, the sport has evolved and changed from the 1920s or 1930s to what it is today.
Still a really long way away, and still a lot of, people that are going to be damaged by that, though, isn't it? I mean, we need action pretty soon.
And that's one of the reasons why we really need this inquiry.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very, very much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Professor Alan Pearce there from Neurosports Labs. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in a short tick.
Christmas is covered with an Adelaide Showground Farmers Market membership. Shop like a locavore, support our local farmers and get 10% off purchases all year round. Keep listening for more great gift ideas. Merry Christmas from FIVEAA.
Be prepared for life's ups and downs with FIVEAA. Get 6 weeks free when you join on eligible products. Plus, you won't have to reserve waiting periods you've already served. T's and C's apply. Search FIVEAA 6 weeks free today. FIVEAA. because life happens.
December, famous for two things, Christmas and Dave Benson Caravan's December clearance. Don't miss Dave Benson Caravan's huge 3-day stock clearance. You will literally save thousands on 2022 stock models, including beautifully designed essential caravans, Network RV and the ever-impressive Highline caravans. Hit the road or track in a Dave Benson Caravan and live the life. Don't miss Dave Benson Caravan's clearance. 3 days only, Friday the 9th until Sunday the 11th of December at 64 Grand Junction Road, Kilburn.
Good pals are hard to find, but at Parafield Airport Liquor Store, hard to find is our specialty. Whether you're after old reliable pals or want some new pals, Sam, Jamie and the team know just the pals for you. They've made pals with over 200 gins, over 300 craft beers, over 500 whiskies from around the world, and over 2,000 wines. Parafield Airport Liquor Store, Pals, open till late 7 days, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
G'day, Jim. How was your stay in the all-new Riverview Villa at the Berry Hotel?
Oh, Pete, it was very nice.
Berry? Do you mean very, mate?
No, I mean very nice. The Berry Hotel's all-new villas have very comfy beds, very nice waterfront dining, and I played a pretty good round of golf too.
Don't you mean very good round of golf, mate?
No, it wasn't that good.
The Berry Hotel, just a couple of hours from Adelaide. It's the very perfect place for your summer getaway. Book now at berryhotel.com.au. These new waterfront villas are booking very fast.
This is RB Day with more tales from the bedroom thanks to Supercraft Bedding. Old mattresses used to have a spring pad made from cotton wadding. Terrible stuff. But a clever chook from Supercraft Bedding had an idea. Her name was Audrey and she knew of a cheap, safe product being used for road construction made from recycled plastic bottles. And now it's used all over the world. Good on you, Audrey. This is RB Day for Supercraft Bedding, building better beds at 42 Richmond Road, Keswick.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the team at Lynn Andrews Real Estate have made it easy to manage residential and commercial property. Whether you own a single residential home or multiple commercial properties, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge to share. How to invest safely and properly. Matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
Whether it's been years since you set foot in a classroom or you live in one, you meet some of the friendliest people at WEA. It's a safe space to learn something new. Find your next something and meet your people at wea.com.au.
Hi, Kirk Pengilly from InXS here. And whether it's music, sweet things, puppies, movies, we all love our treats. But our eyes need treating too. 300,000 Australians, including me, are affected by glaucoma. Diagnosed early, glaucoma can be managed. Left undiagnosed, it can cause blindness. So treat yourself by treating your eyes to a simple test. Book your test at treatyoureyes.org.au today.
$13.95. Adelaide's FIVEAA. This is Jade Robran.
Welcome back to Afternoons. If you'd like to head along to see the Adelaide Lightning take on Southside Flyers this Saturday, I have got 3 family passes to hand out, so give Tammy a buzz now. 8223 0055 is the number to call. Well, Christmas is just around the corner.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up bushels of fun.
And that means the RSPCA has just launched their Christmas appeal. To tell us all about it, we're joined by Carolyn Jones from the RSPCA here in South Australia. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jade, and good afternoon to your listeners.
So you're looking for some guardian angels, are you?
That's right. This is our really important Christmas appeal, the Guardian Angel Appeal. And this is because over the Christmas months, we are just incredibly busy. It really is the busiest time of the year for us. We have a lot more animals coming into our care over the summer months, a lot more animals getting into trouble with the heat, and more reports coming into our rescue teams and with our inspectors as well. And so it's really, really busy, and we expect about 2,500 animals to come to us over the Christmas, the festive season. And so we're looking for people to be their guardian angels. If they can't adopt an animal, that of course, because we'd love it if people were able to step up and give one of our animals a home. But not everyone's in a position to do that. So this is the next best thing, is to be a guardian angel, which basically means that you're going to sponsor the care of an animal over the Christmas season or to contribute to that animal's care.
And then do you have to hand him back?
So you don't have to take the animal home. By becoming a guardian angel, you get assigned one of the animals that's in our care, and it might be a dog, it might be a cat, or we've got rabbits and birds and even a couple of turtles at the moment. And so that animal's care is something that you're going to be assisting the funding of over the Christmas period. And you never know. We have had situations where people have, in fact, found out who their animal is and have gone in and adopted them. So that's been always a lovely outcome, but not everyone can do that, of course.
And how many animals have you got on your books looking for a new home?
Well, we've got just over 1,000 animals in care at the moment, but of those, about 200 in total would be available to adopt. So it's never a large number at any one time, because a lot of animals, they're either they're awaiting desexing, or they're under veterinary care, or they're recovering, or they might be in quarantine, or they might be undergoing some behaviour modification. There's all sorts of reasons why animals are just in care, not quite ready to adopt. And so when people are looking to adopt and they go on the adoption pages, my advice is to keep going on every single day, because the animals are going in and coming out all the time. So the different animals are coming up available for adopt every single day.
Beautiful. Caroline, thank you. And you can jump onto the RSPCA Guardian Angel website, which is rspcaguardianangel.com.au. The sports show is up next. Thanks for your company. Let's do it all again tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.
Introducing 50 Plus SA, SA's newest free print publication and website made specifically for those 50 plus, featuring content from your favourite FIVEAA presenters. 50 Plus SA is packed with local